All right, so hello again, everyone. The link in the chat one more time is to the sign-in sheet. Jim, if you wouldn't mind just taking a few minutes to get that signed in. We are in the home stretch here of this semester, and so first of all, congratulations making it this far in your first ever, I guess, pandemic concerned entire school year, and it is for sure been a learning opportunity for everyone's, but I'm sure you're all just as excited as we are to have a little bit of time to relax over the break. But so we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to make sure that I don't waste too much of your time today. I'll probably waste a little bit of time today because that's how I like to roll with things sometimes, I guess. This week is CS for Education Week. And it is the annual program dedicated to inspiring K-12 students to get interested in computer science. And I'm just taking a look at the attendance today, seeing who we have in here. I don't see any teachers that are just straight CS teachers. And that's probably a good thing because a lot of them already know what code.org is. Some of them use it in their classrooms, but this is really meant for those of you who have not used code.org before, or who have just kind of vaguely familiar with it, maybe on the outsides. So this is good to use from, I'm going to say K to 12, but I'm sure if you are a pre-K teacher, there's absolutely some things that you can get out of this as well. And so I'm excited to show you this platform that is available to you. So I don't want to go over completely the same bit of information that we went over this morning, although I will, I'm sure, touch on a few of the things that are very similar. And if, yeah, thank you. If we could just keep sharing that link to the sign-in as we go. But the I want to kind of ask an open-ended question here of why would you be interested in teaching CS inside of your classrooms using code.org or anything for that matter, and I think there's a lot of reasons why that might be the case. And so as we look at the agenda today, that's one of the first things we're going to talk about is why should we participate in Computer Science Education Week? Why should you teach CS inside of your classroom if you are a math teacher in 3rd grade or a social studies teacher in 5th grade? Why should you worry about that? So we're going to kind of touch on that. Then we're going to get into code.org. We're going to take a look at that. I'm going to help you set up a code.org classroom. We're going to look at the assignment types and then sharing those assignments with students. And then we're going to take a look at some other resources that are in code.org, as well as some that are outside of code.org. If these resources aren't exactly what you're looking for, there are other options available to you, especially if you are teaching in the middle school or high school level. So we'll kind of take a look at those really quickly. So again, one of the first questions I want to talk about today, and I touched on a little bit of this, but I'm gonna go in a slightly different direction this afternoon. But I did touch on this just a little bit this morning. Is the reason why you should care about computer science and CS is because there are so many jobs available for CS. In CS for students, and as of this was earlier this year, there's 2,311 open computing jobs in the state of New Mexico, but yet there was only 173 computer science graduates that graduated last year, and that is a tremendous gap that really I think is not going to be filled unless we kind of take a look at the way we are structuring our classes and from the ground up and the direction that we're going with them. And what I kind of talked about this morning was we have to have a vision for the kids. The kids have to know that these things are out there and they have to be able to see them. And that's kind of the same idea. But going into this, these are not low-paying jobs that are available. They are high-paying jobs, $72,000 on average going into these computing jobs, which is much, much higher than I make, and also much higher than the state average of in New Mexico. And the jobs that are available, the demand is strong and it's going to continue to grow, and it's based in this area. For as an example, we have software engineers that are needed, system administrators, .NET developers, help desk, and web developers. And no matter what interest the students may have, there might be a coding job for them. So whether they're interested in the science aspect of doing experiments and analyzing those, and then coding might be for them. If they are interested just in the technology aspect of it, the information technology, creating apps and driving cars and self-driven cars and so forth, then it would be for them. Engineering, programming, designing new things, just like you would before going into engineering, same type of stuff is available inside of the coding. But if they have a mind more towards the arts, then there's something for them as well as just a math-minded, a data analyst. And I brought this up this morning. Teachers, wouldn't it be great to have better data analysis for us? And I think, most of the time when teachers go into education, we don't know the data side. We know the teaching side, but we have to kind of learn the data side. And, maybe one of our students today is going to revolutionize the way that we look at data in the future. That's the hope, right? The good news about these jobs, many more of them are becoming available, and many of them are available without even needing a college degree. You can get them certifications in high school, community college. There are jobs available for kids in high school that know how to code, and so they can get a leg up on the competition as well. So why should you care about CS? Because you will be bettering the lives of your students if you make them see the things that are possibly available to them. So just keeping that in mind. What I talked about this morning is, we take a look back in the past and we see all the changes that have been made. But this afternoon, I kind of want to take a look at the future just a little bit, and we take a look at these pictures that I have up here. On the top left, there's an assembly line for a motor company that was. I don't know what decade this was in, but it is obviously not happening today, because on the top right, you see what's actually happening in these assembly lines, and you notice what is lacking from there. People, right? There's no people in that assembly line at this point. In the bottom left, we kind of get the same story, although we're still closer to the bottom left than we are the bottom right. But the bottom left, we have cashiers, and I don't mean to, and I really don't mean to talk. I don't want it to come off as talking down, towards any cashiers or anyone who has done that work before. But at the same time, the technology that we have today has allowed, for example, my 4-year-old to go into Walmart and be able to check us out. And when that technology is present and it's ever expanding, it's going to shift the job market, inside of that area. The one on the right hand side, the bottom right, there's a few different ones, and I was talking about this earlier with Mandy, but there are a few different grocery chains and supermarket chains right now, and I'm not sure which is the one that is in the picture, but one I'm thinking of is an Amazon supermarket, and when you go in, they have cameras in the ceilings, and they have barcodes on every single item that you purchase. And when you take that item and you put it in your bag, you don't even have to have a cart, but you can put it in your backpack as an example. It keeps track of every item that is being shifted around inside of the store, and you don't check out at all. You get your item, you leave, and you get a receipt later saying what you purchased. This one, the one that Mandy was talking about earlier, there are shopping carts with digital displays on them, and when you put an item in, it basically checks you out while you still have the item just in your shopping cart, so that whenever you get all your stuff, you can just leave, and again, your account gets charged. And so the need for those cashiers has obviously gone away in some stores. But what about other jobs? What about teaching? What about every other job that you can imagine? Is every single job going away? Well, there is a group, and I cut off the name of the group that did this, so I'm going to have to, if you ask me later, I'll have to figure it out for you. But this is a group that took a look at the jobs that are most vulnerable to being replaced and the jobs that are the least vulnerable. And you see then it is, so that's the left and right. The least vulnerable is on the left, and I see teachers over there. That should make everyone breathe a sigh of relief. And I see the most vulnerable, so cashiers right over here on the bottom right. And so going up is the highest paying, and of course, yeah, there's teachers. That sounds about right, right? And the lower aspect of the graph is the lower paying. So we can take a look at different. Right, no one wants a robot for a dentist, and I'm glad it's on the left-hand side. It's least vulnerable. And so we can kind of take a look at these. We see loan officers over here. We see, sales representations, even truck drivers. This is pretty far to the right, but there are trucks that right now are self-driving, and right now there are people inside of the truck with those things, but the people inside are not actually doing the driving, and there will come a time when they don't need that person either, and maybe that's a little bit scary as well. So yeah, so I thought this was a pretty darn interesting graph here, to kind of take a look at what are these jobs that are not just available now, but maybe the ones that are not going to be available by the time the students that we have in class are no longer going to be here. And this graph is kind of scary in certain ways, right? But I think we can kind of take some reassurance from what has happened in the past as well. And I think of the banking industry, and I want you to kind of think of it along with me here for a second. When was the last time you went into a bank and actually asked a human being for money? If you did that today, they'd probably think you were robbing them, right? They're like, is this a holdup? What's going on, right? But even though most, if not all, of those cashier jobs have been replaced, there's actually more people working in banking today than there were whenever ATMs were introduced. And so it's not that the jobs are going away and they're going away forever, they're just changing. And thinking about the supermarket job from before, now whenever you walk into the supermarket, everyone who's working is probably either stocking or they're checking someone out. There aren't too many other jobs available in that supermarket to go around for anything else. And how many times do we go in there? I don't know. Maybe I should speak for myself here, but you can't find anything because I don't know how it's organized. I don't know. There's stuff in certain spots, and I'm sure it makes sense to some people, not me most of the time. How nice would it be to actually go in and get help? And those jobs, maybe instead of having someone as a cashier, maybe you have a dietitian, maybe you have a chef that is offering you suggestions on what you might be able to cook, maybe new recipes that are healthier and better. It's not that those jobs are going to go away forever. I think it's just that they're going to change in a way. And they're probably going to change in a way that it's going to be a higher level of service that is needed. So we as educators, as the ones that are going to be training those higher level of service employees, we have to be prepared for that. And I think a lot of it really comes down to being flexible with the way that we teach. And so the idea too is, what I want to talk about today in that regard though is preparing those students. I think it just comes down to problem solving a lot of times. And as a math teacher, coming from the math background, I guess, I didn't necessarily want a kid who could follow an algorithm incredibly well. What I really, really wanted was a kid who could just problem solve, because then I could give them anything and that they were going to be able to work their way through it, especially once I gave them the tools. And what studies have shown, and this was, there's an article that I can link inside of the chat, so let me do that. And what this article showed was that children who had computer science in school were 17% more likely to attend college. They became better problem solvers. And if we're able to accommodate that type of learning, then I think we are setting our kids up for a better future. So this is not meant, code.org is not meant to completely replace, and I have to say this, it's not meant to replace the district adopted curriculum that you are currently using. It's supposed to really go hand in hand in certain aspects on how what you're presenting, how you can get a glimpse of the future, and how you can kind of show the kids along the way these things, how they might be made available. So whether you teach computer science or whether you teach math or language arts, I hope that you will, and my challenge for you is to think about ways that you can inspire your kids in that way as we go along. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. So go ahead and go, if you wouldn't mind, open up another tab, and you're going to go to code.org. And we're going to make sure that you are set up and good to go before we get started. This morning, I showed off a few code bites from code.org. What code bites were for little chunks, and maybe that's where you want to start, is those little chunks that you can do with your students without broadening your horizons too much. And we went over two different code bites this morning. They were the AI for Oceans and the Dance Party, and you can have a lot of fun with those. I did not get into this one because I didn't know how much information people would have on this. It's one of those things you have to know a little bit about before you get started. But here's an outbreak simulator. No one has ever dealt with an outbreak simulator. We're completely unfamiliar with outbreaks at this point in life, right? We just nothing to recall back on. So that's a joke, guys. And anyways, I found this earlier. This is another code bite, and just to kind of show off with the type of stuff that you can do inside. This is something that's within. See, I'm not sharing it. Thank you. So I started going off and then wasn't sharing you what I was looking at. So this is the code.org Outbreak Simulator. It is another bite, code bite. So if you are interested in, first of all, taking a look at the session that I had this morning, but here's another one. And these are this would be built by the students and not something that you would have to do. Even though you might not know what any of this does, your students will be shown how to do it along the way. And so this one is step 4 out of step, 11. And what they do is they build a game. And this game, and the way that you read this code, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it right here because we'll get to it here in a second, but when this code is run, then we're going to set a background color. We're going to make 10 of these healthy sprites, these healthy little people. We're going to make one sick sprite, and we're going to set a size, and what we're going to do is whenever the sick sprite touches the healthy sprite, then the healthy sprite becomes sick. But if you click on either the sick sprite or a healthy sprite, then they put a mask on, and then if they touch each other, then they don't become sick. So if I run this, you can see that they all touched each other very quickly. I couldn't get to them very quick, but I can put masks on these guys, and they don't get sick when they're touched, right? So kind of fun stuff right there. Now, I didn't do something right. No sick monsters were marrying. Oh, I got to actually put the masks on the sick ones. So let's see. Let's put them on those, and then none of them become sick. And I'm needing to get through this because I wanted to show you the next step. There we go. So I'm going to click continue. So it said you did it. You can keep doing it more if you'd like. But the reason why I wanted to show you this is because code.org is not just about coding. And so it takes us, from step 4 to step 5. Now we're at an outbreak, and we're thinking like a scientist. And we're talking about simulations, and we're talking about collecting data, making predictions. Are these not good ideas to have inside of your classroom, regardless of what you teach, right? Not only that, if you go back, I made a mistake, and so I had to do a better job of reading the directions. I had to also make sure that as I built that code, that there were no mistakes. So I was looking back, and I was what's called debugging, but I was proofreading the material that I had presented. All of these things, I think, can be used inside of any classroom, and so, just kind of keep that in mind as we go through. So that is one of the code bites. I didn't want to go into too much detail with it, but there you go. It talks about a model and so forth. Very, very good stuff. All right, so let's take a look at actually what code.org has to offer. So if you are joining me on this website, on the top right of your page, there is a sign in button and a create button. So what we're going to do though is we're going to click on the sign in, and even if you've never created a username or an account with code.org, you're going to go ahead and click the continue with Google. Now I already have an account created, but when I click continue with Google, I select my teaching account, and I'm already signed in, so it's going to kind of get confused. But and I'm going to go through that process of creating something, and I just need to make sure that whenever you're in that creation stage, that you let them know that you click that you are a teacher somewhere in there. And once that's done, there are some websites where they don't give you the teaching account right away, that you have to request it. And then so I'm not sure if it's been a while since I've created this, but you should get that teaching. You should get accepted as a teacher very soon. So they might have relaxed on that. I'm not sure if they have or not. But with that in mind, though, once your account is created, and I guess I do need to still sign in here. You can be sent over to your dashboard. And if you are not here right now, that's okay. Feel free to just kind of put this on pause. And actually what I'm going to do is, just so I don't have, just so people aren't too far behind on this, how about I give everyone 3 or 4 minutes to kind of go through the process of creating their account, signing in, and asking any questions that you have about that process as we go through. So it is 2:21 right now, and I will pick back up at 2:25. Please unmute yourself if you have any questions, or type it in the chat, whichever you feel most comfortable with. Also, I'm curious if anyone has used code.org inside of their classroom.
That's me. Mine.
Absolutely, Deb. And the code.org, also partners in some ways with Girls Who Code. And there are after-school programs that are available that I think our town would greatly benefit from if a few teachers who you don't need computer science background to do I would love, for a few, and I would help in any way that I could get it going. So if you are interested in doing any of those types of programs, after school programs would be great, but I don't think we have to wait till after school. I think we can show inside the class these awesome things. Yeah, so code.org is free entirely. Tinker's free as well. There are also some other ones out there. I'm completely drawing a blank right now. There are other free programs. Scratch is another one that's available. That one is done through, it's one of the, is it Princeton, Yale? It's one of those that puts on Scratch, Harvard maybe. But anyways, they're the ones that do those. There's quite a few different programs that are available. So code.org is just one of them. And they're all kind of similar at the younger grades especially. They kind of deal around the idea of block coding. And it's the idea that the kids don't have to write the code. They kind of drag and drop the code, and they go from there. So that's right. Art teacher had a Girls Who Code club last year. I think every school would benefit from them, and I would love to get that approved through our administration, and it would be awesome if we had, how many elementaries? 6, and we have middle schools, maybe 8 Girls Who Code clubs, and they work together. I would help in any way that I could. So No questions about sign-ins, I assume. Are we set for me to just kind of show off a few things? All right. So first of all, because it's CS for Education Week, the Hour of Code is like the thing going on right now. There are thousands of students who are joining the Hour of Code this week and doing 1 hour where they create something cool, and that's it, just to kind of get their toes in the water on some of these things. And if you want to join for an Hour of Code, you're not limited to just this week. This is just one of the kind of launch events that they do. Then feel free to click there. But I wanted to take a look at the actual classroom elements of this. And I think before you can jump in, but if you're kind of like me, you probably want a little bit of professional learning before that happens. And up here at the top, you can see that there is a professional learning tab, and I believe I'm missing the teach tab. There used to be a teach tab there as well. But the professional learning tab, you kind of just click where you are. Are you an elementary teacher or are you a middle school teacher? I'm going to go ahead and click on elementary because I believe there's quite a few more elementary teachers in our meet this morning. But and so this is kind of like a little bit of a professional development, trying to sell you on one. These are free, but they are taught at a specific workshop, so that you can join these workshops as you go through. And you can contact regional partners as well to maybe get one in the area. Although again, I would recommend talking to your administrators before you set something like that up. But so there are these elements right here in the professional development. Again, I know that they have it hidden over here. I clicked on the top right, and here's the Teach tab. And here are quite a bit more bits of information for you to just gain a little bit of insight on this. But I do want to stress, as I kind of did this morning, teaching this program does not require you to have a CS background. You do not need to know coding in order to get involved with this. So anyways, I'm going to come back to this here in 1 second whenever you go in to create your class. So we'll go into that here in 1 second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a classroom. Now, I already have a classroom set up, but I'm going to go ahead and create one more. So I'm going to click the Create a Section button. And it says, how would you like your students to log in? And there are some options depending on age, but this is the one I would pick down here, is your Google Classroom, because it will allow you to sync your Google Classroom with your regular class, your Google Classroom with code.org, so that the students don't have a login at all, and you can send them the information through there. So that's how I would obviously recommend it if you are one of everyone who is using Google Classroom this year. So I'm just going to pick my section there, click my Google Classroom section, and then it will ask you just a few questions that you need to know. So what grade level is this? And I'm going to pick 6th grade. Select the course, and if you're not sure, you don't have to select one right now, so it's okay. So in fact, I'm going to leave this blank for right now. And then the last thing that you can do is enable pair programming, and when that's turned on, students can choose to work with a classmate at the same computer. So if you did not have a computer, access to computers into your classroom, or if you think that kind of buddy work would be best for the age group that you work with, then turn that on. So I'm going to turn that to no, although it doesn't really matter one way or the other. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and now that classroom is set up here. And even though I didn't pick a course, that's okay. And because one of the things that I can do, and I can do this up here at the top of the page as well under Course Catalog, is I can find a course for them. And you can see that it lays it out in a pretty easy to understand way. If you teach kindergarten, you should be doing either the CS Fundamentals, the Pre-Reader Express, Of course, there's some professional learning for all grade levels right there. But no matter what grade level you teach, there are courses available to you. So I said 6th grade for this particular one. So I can come over here to CS Discoveries or the CS Fundamentals, but I'm going to go ahead and do CS Discoveries. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to click on these and just show that it does give a brief overview of each of the courses that are available. And it tells you what audience is, what the grade level is, how long this course length is. So that's 100 hours. I mean, it is built for a full year course. That doesn't mean you can't use it if you have no plans to go that full 100 hours. You can pick and choose 1 or 2 hours worth, or once a month to do these types of things, and you're still going to get a lot out of it. And here's the beauty of it all. The prior knowledge, what you need as a teacher, none. No prior knowledge is needed. So feel free to experiment with some of these things. And the same thing goes for CS Discoveries, prior knowledge, none. CS Fundamentals, prior knowledge, none. Pre-reader, prior knowledge, none. And you get the idea. So there is no prior knowledge needed. So hop in there, okay? So again, I said 6th grade, so I'm going to come in here and, well, I know I need to pick this 6th grade, so I'm going to view the course. And so here's the one that they recommend me using. If I were to have picked a different course, though, the CS Fundamentals, you notice there's no pick a course here because they break these courses down into smaller parts here. So if I keep going down, if I click on elementary school, here we go. If I click on elementary school and click learn more, I get a little bit more of a breakdown as we go through of how to select the right course. So if I'm a kindergarten teacher, I need to click course A. If I teach, 3rd grade, I need to click course D. And here's where I can go. And even though I picked 6th grade, I'm going to go ahead and just come here and we'll go course F. We'll go a 5th grade course here. So it tells you before you select it there are 19 lessons, each lesson being about an hour. Concepts include variables, data for loops, the internet, sprites, and digital citizenships. Man, we're looking at data, we're looking at variables, we're looking at loops. Wow, these are quite the mathematical-minded concepts, right? And it's built like that for a reason, right? So I'm going to click View Course. I can click on lesson plans, but there's another spot inside of code.org that I can click on lesson plans. So I'm just going to click View Course. By the way, if you assign anything, as I just did, you can also unassign it. So don't worry if you assigned the wrong thing along the way. You can basically undo that and assign the thing that is best for you. Okay, so just noticing a few things. Here's how it's broken down, and on the right-hand side, it tells me that I'm viewing this as a teacher. So these are all the lessons that are available to me as a teacher. And if I wanted to skip entirely and go straight to variables, I could do that. If I wanted to skip to the very last lesson and do only the end of course project, I mean, because maybe I'm in 6th grade and I want to see what they remember from, any 5th grade work that they've done, maybe I do want to send them the end of course project. I do not obviously recommend that, but if it suits your fancy, I guess. You can also view it as a student. So I'm seeing everything because I haven't hidden anything from my students and it's all available. And in fact, if they wanted to hop in from the student side, if they wanted to hop into any of these activities and, for example, watch this video, they could click on it and it would take them right into that video. So they can access whatever they would like to access as well. But I'm going to go back to the teacher side and show that you can hide things. So if I were to hide all of these items from my students, then they would make it to where that they would see that there's something there, but they can't click on it. And so if you are in an actual course with your students and you want to work through it the entire year, then you might want to hide some of these so that they don't work ahead of the class. But if you're kind of doing this more as fun and you're just providing them with additional resources, then you probably want to keep these visible so that they can work ahead. And just like in math class or any other class, if I'm going to go over multiplication this week and one of my students already knows multiplication, that's not a bad thing. That's a very good thing. That helps. So if they have already done some of these things, then maybe they can be a very good teacher in your class to help the other students in the classroom. But without going into any of the lessons themselves, up here at the top, these are the teacher resources. There's a drop down. And here you will see lesson plans, a teacher forum. I'm opening up each tab so that we can take a look at them. There's vocabulary, standards mapping, and a curriculum guide. So this is not just tiny activities that you kind of have to figure out for yourself. There is a structure behind all of this that you can kind of think of. Okay, so I'm going to click on the very first one, and this is the lesson plans, I believe. Yes, this is the Course F lesson plans, and it gives you everything you need to get started. Is this the lesson plan? Let me make sure. Yeah, this is the lesson plan. Sorry. And so I can take a look at any of these and see, first of all, there is, you can notice as we get further down, there is a lesson slide deck for each one. There's a video, there's websites for the students, there's a student handout, there's a form for them. It's all built and ready to go. It gives you the timeline of what you could be doing. And if I were to click on this, for example, lesson 6, then I get the full lesson plan for that item. For this lesson. So it's coming from Common Sense. It gives you the overview. It gives you your objectives, what your preparation needs to be. Here's all the links that you would need. And oh, by the way, here's the steps that you can do to complete these activities in class. And so it gives you everything that you would need for this particular lesson. Okay, so I'm going to close up the lesson plans, and the next thing is the teacher forum. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to the forum if you are one that does that. You can feel free to reach out to Anita or I as well, but this might be giving you better, there might be answers already on this forum for you before you ever even think to ask it, right? Going on one more time, here's the vocabulary for each lesson. So Course F in functions in Minecraft, they are learning the word function. And if you go to lesson 2, they're learning the word behavior and the word sprite and all of these things. Again, if you're going to build a lesson in language arts, you're going to go over the vocabulary in whatever way you go over the vocabulary. So this is just preparing you for that. Then we have the standards alignment. These are not standards that are Common Core State standards. These are the CSTA standards, which is the Computer Science Teachers Association standards for K-5. But they are, it is standards aligned, right? And so, so just keeping that in mind. There is also some cross-curricular standards guidance and mapping that you can take a look at. And then if you're really teaching CS, then here is the entire breakdown of what you would be teaching. And this is a 79-page document. So let's go ahead and start from the top. Just kidding, that's a joke, everyone. And but anyway, so there are teacher resources available to you. All right, so just keeping that in mind. Again, you're not just left by yourself to go from there. All right. So I've sent a couple things to my son. So poor guy, he always gets way more work than anyone else because he gets work from his regular teacher and then he gets work from his parents as well. So I have had him join one of my code.org classes, and so coming in here, programming with Angry Birds. So this is what it would look like on the student's account when you send something. To send it to them, I guess I should show that off first. There's a button that says send to students. It couldn't be more easy. And whenever I click that button, send to students, I'm going to share to Google Classroom. And it gives me a pop-up over here that you can't see, but and there it is. I'm ready to send it off to those students. That's all I had to do. And so I'm going to go ahead and exit out because I don't want to send another thing to him. But when I did send it to him, here's what it appears like for them. If I go into the classwork tab, here's the program. I mean, it's just like a regular Google Classroom assignment. It's going to appear just like it did for any other thing. So I'm going to click the programming with Angry Birds. And when I click on this code.org link, it is going to right away ask them to sign in. And they're going to sign in the same way you signed in. So continue with Google, sign in using Google. And here is the thing that I wanted him to complete. It takes them right to it. Now, we did this, so he already got this complete, but this is teaching him the absolute basics of what code.org, the way that the game is, or not the game, but the program is built. So for this puzzle, for example, they give you instructions here. If you are a non-reader, you might not pick this course, by the way, because there are non-reading courses, but there is a play button here to read the instructions to them so that they could click on there. It's going to give them on the left-hand side, it's what's going on, and on the right-hand side, it's the code behind everything. And again, we're using block coding for this. And so what it says is connect all of the blocks and push run. Now, because we already did this, it says we are going to, when we click the run button, we are going to move forward 2 different times. So this little Angry Bird is going to get the little pig there whenever I click run. And that was a success. And so it starts them off in that way, just like you would any lesson, right? You're going to start them off from the beginning, and you're going to work through your difficulty up. And by the end, let me come over to the end to let them practice. They're going to have to turn left and turn right, and then you can even they can put in some repeats to get from there to there. Without touching any of the TNT boxes. So it's going to do it again through this code. But this is just one lesson. So this is one lesson in it all, and it's going over certain things as we go through. And it guides their way. And if I don't know if you noticed it, and I thought there would be one here at the end, but there's not. But if they need help, they could come to you as your teacher. But then there's also built-in videos, so you don't have to have all the knowledge. You can point them in the direction. Here's the maze intro, and that will take them through. Once they click on it, it will show them this video on how to do this work. So you don't have to do everything, I guess. So. I wanted to go back one more time to the class. That's kind of what it looks like on the student side. That's what they're going to be doing. And again, I can send any of these sections to them. I can hide any sections, and I can get a breakdown of the information inside of their class as well. So what I'm going to do now, before I leave this, actually, up here at the top right, you'll notice that there is a version, and we are in the 2020 version. If I click on this down arrow right here, you actually have more versions available. And so, for example, if you have a student in your class that speaks English only, you don't want to use the 2020 version. But the previous year, the 2019, includes 2 additional languages, as does the 2018. But the 2017 includes, it's the only one that includes Spanish on this. So if you have Spanish-speaking students, you might want to change your version to 2017 so that the game is a little bit, or the course is a little bit different, but it has a translation that they would need in order to be successful. So kind of just keeping that in mind. So I'm going to come over to, let's see, my button over here on the top right, and I want to get into my actual class so I can see my students. Maybe it's the teacher dashboard. Yeah, and so if I were to go to this dashboard for this class, I can see, now this is a different class. Let me see. I can come over here and switch my sections and click on the test class. And now I can see the work that Sai has done. So here's the programming with Angry Birds. I can see that he has finished this one and he has started on this one. So I can keep track of what they've done. But in addition to that, I can also take a look at what levels in a slightly different way right here. So I can break it down not just by the entire level at one time, but by individual activity and individual standards that align again to the CSTA. So I can take a look at this and see that that he has completed 8 of these, and I don't see it anywhere in here, so I might be missing something. But so there you go. Last thing I wanted to show you, and I have 15 minutes, and it will not take anywhere near 15 minutes, is there are also, let's go back into my dashboard. And I could have showed you this from where we were before. Let's go into the test class. And here we go. Course C. So in addition to regular assignments, this is something I talked about a little bit earlier this morning as well. In addition to assignments where you are asking the student to code something, there are also unplugged activities that you can do, and these are incredibly fun. So I'm going to click on this unplugged activity. An unplugged activity is an activity that does not require a computer for the kids to actually have a computer at all. And so this one is about stopping meanness. Now, I believe this is a second grade unit, right? So stopping meanness. And we can, oh, did I already do that one? I already did that one. Here we go. Well, I know there's more built into there. So I'm not seeing those pop up right here. So let me go back into well, I'm not seeing them. So I apologize. I thought I was more ready than I was for that. But unplugged activities are activities that you can use to that do not require a computer at all. And I actually know one that I can get to right away. So I'm going to go to code.org/dance. And here is the unplugged activity for this one. And again, it gives you a PDF, and it shows you exactly what you'll do throughout this. But you're not going to require a computer at all. Students will actually be dancing inside of your classroom, and but there still is an element of the coding that's involved with this. And so in this case, they're going to have to learn the high clap dance and a dab and a star and a body roll and the this or that. And here's some kids doing the activity, and they're doing the floss right there. So the unplugged activities are ones that, again, you might not even do them right away. You might print them out and have them ready to go for days where the internet goes out inside of your classroom, just as an idea. So just kind of throwing out that idea that you don't have to do these in order in any way. You can bounce around and use them as needed. So so this is that's kind of the general overview of what code.org is, and that's without getting into a few of the other bigger ideas of creating projects with your kids. And I'm going to click on projects right here. There is a sprite lab, there's some artistic work, there's an app lab, and a game lab. There's more than that, yeah. And there's quite a few things that they can do. For example, they can build their own Flappy Bird game. Kids aren't especially the younger ones, they probably don't remember when Flappy Bird was everyone had to have it on their phone or whatever, but they can build their own game. So they're building these things from for lack of a better term, scratch, even though we're not using Scratch. But I think there's a lot more to code.org than just the things that you might use in your class. But I kind of want to again take you back to the beginning of the lesson today, or the PD today, and that is kind of thinking, how can you use this inside of your curriculum? If you're a language arts teacher, what ideas can you take from this? Yes, it's a fun activity. Yes, they can do it, but how can we relate it to the items that are going on inside of your class? And I think that's probably the most challenging part of it, but it's also the part that is going to just take a little bit of thinking on your part to make sure that it fits in with the direction that you want your class to go. With the idea, though, that we have to prepare them for this, whether it's exactly this program used right now or not, or whether it's something different. We want to make sure that we let them see the opportunities that are available to them, and hopefully spark that imagination that they might want to go into. So I wanted to share just a couple different other resources really quick, and I'm not going to go too much into them. Here are some third-party professional development. This is the first link that I'm going to give you. Third-party meaning not with code.org. There's some other things along the way. In addition to code.org, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. In addition to code.org, though, and as we mentioned before, Scratch and Tinker and a few of those other programs that are available to you. If you teach maybe at an upper grade, there are other programs available, and one is, I'm going to hold this up. Bootstrap for algebra, Bootstrap for reactive, Bootstrap for data science, and Bootstrap for physics. This one, I believe, is the algebra book. Yeah, this is the algebra book. And these are, if you want to teach, it's not like teaching entire, course of algebra inside of this, but it's teaching algebra, certain aspects of algebra inside of these programs. In this case, it's Bootstrap, which is kind of like JavaScript and Python and all those other things. It's just in a different way. So with that in mind, Carnegie Mellon University also has a CS Academy where they do use Python, and so it's just another coding language that students can use, and that is completely free to use. And so again, if you teach at the upper grades and you want a little bit more meat and bones to the coding that you're doing, and less of the block coding but actual typing it in, then there are options available to you. If you have kids at home that are interested in this, then those are options also. But reach out to me if you have those. Let me send you the link I sent you the link to the third party. Let me send you the link to, if you want to take a look at the Bootstrap for algebra, reactive, data science, and physics. That one goes to algebra, but there are other aspects of it you can kind of take a look at. And here's the Carnegie Mellon University CS Academy. And so you can take a look at those. So those are the additional items that I wanted to make sure. And lastly, I guess, I couldn't find the PD that I needed earlier. Here's the link to the professional development that is available through code.org as well. And there's some videos that you can follow along with. If I click on that link, at the very bottom of this page, it says try now. And so you can take a look at all those things, and it will take you through a course that is designed to now, how do I teach this inside of my class? It's a lot more in depth, obviously, for each lesson that you're doing. So I wanted you to have access to all of those links. And if you are watching this on replay on the Cavern Crusade, then I will drop these links in the resources tab of the page that you're visiting. So again, I just want to thank everyone. Are there any questions that I can answer before everyone takes off? All right. I see a lot of thank yous. I don't see a lot of question marks. So I hope that's a good thing. So again, thank you, everyone. I will be hanging around for a few minutes if you did want to ask a few questions afterwards. If you want to put this inside of your classroom and you're kind of terrified to do that, reach out to me. I would love to join you in your class and help you kind of brainstorm some ideas on making it relatable inside of your class. So so please take me up on that offer. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.